The work is on to select Khamenei's successor in Iran. A top Iranian cleric makes first big revelation. On television, a big hint dropped by member of Iran's Interim Leadership Council, formed after Khamenei's killing. Is the regime change plan by United States and Israel failing as Iran's military continues to fight back?
We hope that the Iranian people can overthrow this government and establish a new future for that country.
On March 2nd, an Iranian cleric made the first public remarks about the process of choosing Khamenei's successor, signaling that the leadership transition is now moving into an official phase. The cleric, Alireza Arafi, was speaking publicly after being appointed to Iran's Interim Leadership Council, placing him at the center of the temporary constitutional arrangement. In remarks aired on Iranian state television, Arafi said he hopes a new supreme leader will be appointed quickly, projecting urgency and continuity after the shock of the killing. Arafi also said state institutions are continuing to function under these extremely difficult circumstances, aiming to reassure the public that governance has not collapsed. The Times of Israel carried Arafi's remarks while noting that Iran's hardline clerical establishment, via the Assembly of Experts, is responsible for selecting the next supreme leader. Under Iran's temporary mechanism, Arafi is serving on a leadership council alongside Iran's president and the country's hardline judiciary chief, forming a three-person body meant to bridge the transition. This council was formed after the US-Israel strikes on February 28 that killed Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, forcing Tehran to activate succession procedures. Meanwhile, US messaging has increasingly appeared to pin hopes on internal Iranian dissent, with prior statements and reporting highlighting calls for protesters to challenge the regime. On March 2nd, the US Secretary of State also spoke publicly about the rationale for military intervention and the threats posed by Iran, reinforcing that Washington sees the conflict as strategic rather than temporary.
The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. There's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact it bared to be true, because in fact within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. The purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do, is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they could inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambitions. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports. They're attacking hotels. They're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly. They're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military. And that's a weakened Iran. That's in Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now or a year and a half from now the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. So that was the purpose for what this operation is all about. That's what it's focused on. As the President said earlier today, it is on or ahead of schedule. I will defer to the Department of War to discuss the progress being made at a tactical level, but it was the right decision and an important decision for the safety and security of the world. So two things, and two things can be true. Number one is our mission and our focus is the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities and their ability to manufacture them, as well as the threat posed by their Navy to global shipping. That's our objective. That said, We would not mind, we would not be heartbroken, and we hope that the Iranian people can overthrow this government and establish a new future for that country. We would love for that to be possible. But the objective of this mission is the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities and of their naval capabilities.
Earlier, Trump also called on the Iranian people to seize the moment and take back their country, urging what he framed as a decisive push for change inside Iran.
I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass.